Years ago, our world was prosperous. Our technology was far more advanced than yours even. Computers not only graced every household but every single person. It was the age of information. Even children had the power to access the most advanced knowledge at their fingertips. With our PDAs, our interconnectedness, is that a word, with other people and our environment was greater than ever. From locomotion to repetitious work and household chores, many processes were automated to such a degree that except for our jobs and hobbies, there was nothing that needed to be done by a person anymore. Even the concept of someone wielding a weapon was outdated, as wars were no longer fought by people, but machines. Looking back, it was probably the single most prosperous time in human history. Exploitation of the environment and other people was at an all-time low, as was crime. Conversely, our technological advancements had drastically increased the quality of life. Humans were no longer required for strenuous and repetitive tasks. Education had reached an all-time high, and many new jobs were created. General happiness had reached levels never before seen. Yet one day everything changed. Okay. What changed? Oh, there's the sun. A solar flare that was headed for Earth was detected by an automated monitoring system. It was determined to be so powerful that it dwarfed all others ever recorded in history. We had less than a week to prepare. Chaos hit much earlier than that, and people scrambled to shield themselves and their possessions from the incoming ion storm. On a worldwide level, power lines were switched off, satellites reorientated in space, and planes grounded to mitigate the effects that would hit us. Despite humanity's contingency plan for such an event and all our efforts, we were still not prepared for the sheer magnitude of the solar flare that arrived. It was only then, when our race had become so dependent on technology, that we were immeasurably vulnerable against this kind of disaster. That day, a force of the power of 10 billion Hiroshima bombs was unleashed into our atmosphere. The eyewitness reports from this day were varied as they were terrifying. Okay, not good. A huge beautiful aurora could be seen on the horizon before fireballs hurled across the sky. What's that? In some places these lights became so bright that even those asleep at night awoke, as though the day had already arrived. A coronal mass ejection by itself did not have the power to kill anyone directly, but the side effects were disastrous. After the lights in the sky arrived, sparks showered from electrical outlets everywhere, igniting rampant fires in every town and city. Facilities that stored weapons, fireworks or other explosives became centres of widespread destruction and loss of life. During the next stage, the solar flare started to affect body modifications and caused commonplace pacemakers and nanomachines to fail. 15% of the world's population died as a result of this alone. Once the full power of the waves hit us, however, society as we knew it collapsed in one fell swoop. Power grids on Earth shut down in an instant, as did all the machines that automated our routine tasks. Long-distance communication and transport became a thing of the past. Without electrical power, the quality of healthcare plummeted and water and sewage systems were crippled. Diseases we thought defeated centuries ago made their comeback in a most unsightly fashion. Many thought the end of the world had arrived, and in a way it had. Some people blamed whoever their belief system would allow, angry at the gods that had forsaken them. Others pointed their fingers at our lifestyle and society, not that anyone was listening. Practically, we were back in the Middle Ages. Governments collapsed and were overthrown, and the ensuing power vacuums filled with groups of people that were sometimes organised and sometimes not. The few functioning electronic devices left became rare, sought after artifacts over which battles and even wars were fought. Of course, there are also wars over resources and territory. The weaponry used was improvised or reclaimed from the days when humans had been present on the battlefield. It had been ages, but people returned to the old bloody ways of war. Humanity is in a shambles now. Those that I'd called family and friends now live with me in a giant, mostly self-sufficient city-state of survivors. A huge wall around the perimeter, guarded by militia, prevents any outside interference. It's the only way we can retain a modicum of order. Gangs of raiders and looters run rampant on the outside. They wouldn't hesitate to kill first and ask questions later if they'd known about my PDA. Our contained community had flourished for years now. We had homes to live in, crops to grow and livestock to raise, and still have our own automated hospital that runs on salvage generators. Lately though, supplies have started to run low, and dangerously so. The power we have is running out, illnesses are spreading throughout the city, and treatment isn't as available as it used to be. Our population is dropping by the day. We took a great risk to increase the radius of our scouting missions, desperate to find something outside the wall that could help us. Well, that's a dark backstory. Okay, you know the rest of the story. We found the portal and then you. Yeah, so Earth isn't quite as we understand it. And now you know why this whole thing is so important to me. All our hopes lie in acquiring the generators you promised us. The act of sending Reza and me here is, without a doubt, already cost the lives of some people back home. Beyond the city walls is a dead zone. We haven't heard from any other settlements for months now, and the state of the rest of our world is unknown. When Reza and I were sent here, my peers made it clear that this was our last chance. If anything happens to us, no more people will be sent. If we can't manage to bring back something that will help, we'll have sealed the fate of tens of thousands that live in our city. Yeah, sorry about that, I didn't realise. Yeah, no, nor did I. If what you're telling me is true, it unfortunately does not work in your favour. No, because Reza's kind of blown it. As sad as your situation may be, it gives Reza a motive. Desperate times call for desperate measures after all. In that vein, it also gives you a motive. Considering the gravity of the human plight, it gives you all the more reason to collaborate with him. I'm not. What Reza is doing is wrong, and you can't send me away under these circumstances because I'm your best bet at finding him. Am I? How? Even so, you'd still be in grave danger after we announce Reza's involvement in the murders. I cannot and will not take responsibility for the consequences when I know of the risks. What about our deal then? In the wake of this new information and as a sign of goodwill, we will send the generators you are owed through the portal once this is over under 2 conditions. Humanity must condemn Reza's actions, and we must reclaim the stolen PDAs. I've changed my mind. Let Ushio stay. Let me stay! I cannot take your word under consideration in this matter, Chief. Taking into account Maverick's actions and your responsibility for them, you will have to be dealt with separately. Without my authority as the minister in charge of the human visit, my decision is to have Ushio sent back to the human world through the portal. Please don't do it. Now? Right straight away? What the hell? Okay. Please arrange for an escort to take me to the portal now. Alright, I'm being evicted. I'm gone. I could do it myself. No, you're not to be trusted. Well, we have our own matters to discuss, Chief, and I'd rather get that over with as quickly as possible. In that case, one of my officers should be here at any moment. I arranged for him to meet us here. Is that Sebastian? How handy. Then let us wait for this officer of yours. There he is! Didn't take long for him to arrive. After the situation was explained, he was visibly shocked, but didn't protest when he was given the task of sending me back through the portal. Let's go. Don't I even get to say goodbye? To who? Let's not waste any more time. You will still be free to send letters after you've arrived on the other side. Just go. Alright, let's go. Okay, we were silent as Sebastian and I slowly made our way to the portal. With each step I took, I drew closer and closer to the hopelessness waiting for me in the ruins of the human world. All in all, I certainly had a unique experience alongside these dragons, and although this place was filled with just as much drama and murder as back home, I would fondly think back to the days I spent in their comfortable standard of living, a shadow of how humanity used to be. Even without the generators, at the very least I'd be returning home with a few life lessons. Yo, what's going on here? Yo, Adine, what's up? Lost in thought, I hadn't even noticed Adine approach. None of your concern, please leave. Can't I even get a few minutes before I go? I suppose no one's stopping us, but make it quick. Yo, what's going on? Something serious happened. Looks like I've got to go. Right now? Why? It was the minister's decision, not mine. You'll hear about it all soon enough. Does this have anything to do with what I've been hearing? Is Reza really a murderer? Yeah, you got it. Oh. Well, what does that make you? I don't have anything to do with that. I was helping the police find him. Then why are you leaving? They don't want me to stay here with all of this going on. It's for my own safety. Well, nice to know ya. Yeah, bye. Yeah, likewise, bye. I guess I should get going. Goodbye. Yeah, right, goodbye. Laters. I remember her. She was the witness from Reza's first murder. Do you know her? Yeah, a little. We chatted. Just say yes. I see. Here we are, here's the portal. A few minutes later, we arrived at the portal, standing proud as ever in defiance of the elements. How many years had the structure survived before it was found? Hope I can remember how it works. Alright, are you kidding me? Don't send me somewhere else. Yeah, I got it. Alright, I suppose it's time for us to say goodbye. Let's keep it professional. I don't like to mix personal matters with work. Alright, he looked away and I shrugged. Fair enough. Turn it on then. Would you stand between the pillars, please? Alright, no problem. I took my place and stared toward the horizon while I thought about what would happen now, in this world and the others. Even if I made a break for it, I'd become a fugitive, no better than Reza. It would be near impossible to investigate the case by myself, while on the run in a world I knew so little about. At the very least, I took comfort in the fact I did everything I could to get help, even though it turned out like this. Nevertheless, I dreaded going back empty-handed and returning to my old life in our ruined city. Any second now, the teleportation process would start, disintegrating my body before I would reappear back on the other side, back in my dying world. I wondered if there was any risk of getting lost somewhere between worlds. We didn't really know how the portals work after all. Maybe I'll be flung somewhere else in space-time, or it might affect my body in some way. I hadn't noticed any unusual changes in my body since I arrived in the Dragon's world, but I had no way of knowing if there would be any potential long-term side effects. I still remembered the images I saw when I teleported the first time. The vivid sights and patterns, people and situations I recognised since then. It only took a moment to arrive at the other side of the portal, yet it felt like I'd dreamed 1,000 dreams. And during the nights I spent here, these dreams had often reappeared. Any time now, I would undergo the same experience again. I was almost relieved that my adventure was over. Things had turned out far differently than expected. I evaded danger, got swept into a murder investigation, and met incredible intelligent beings from several different species. It has certainly been a time to remember. With that thought, I closed my eyes and braced myself for the moment that would come any second now. But that moment never came. The next thing that did happen was that I heard Sebastian's voice. It's not working. Are you shitting me? After all that hype? Alright, no really, it's not working. Wait, what's this? Sabotage. It's broken. Can you fix it? I don't think so. This doesn't look like a simple act of vandalism. It looks like some parts were torn out. I guess that means I'm not leaving. Not yet, anyway. What do we do? Let's head back. The chief has to know about this right now.